take us on to the numbers in Kingstowne, what we have seen happening in the market over the last 4 weeks for the month of October.
Well, what you're seeing on your screen right now, these are the top sales in October 2021.
The first three are single families, and then I see a couple of townhouse communities in there and 2 more single families thrown in towards the bottom half.
So the top sales are going to, of course, are always going to be the single families. One thing that kind of shocked me about these sales right now is the idea or the fact that there are no $1 million sales.
Yeah.
There's not $1 million sale. So that's different than a couple months ago. We were seeing almost $1 million sale every month.
Well, I think that maybe a lot of those people were able to get out of those properties, right? Like they were, because the market was up, and we were even seeing some of those $1 million homes be bid up. Actually, all of them were bid up, right?
That's true.
So I think that maybe those people saw an opportunity to get what I get was good.
Since some of you are military buyers moving here because you are going to be working at the Pentagon or Fort Belvoir, you'll be comforted to know that there were 46 transactions in October, and of those 10 or 22% were VA buyers, right? So 1 out of 5 transactions were VA buyers. We already know this from living in the Kingstowne area that military...
We have a healthy military presence
we do.
In the area. Lots of military families. As a matter of fact, a couple of our elementary schools have been noted as, I want to say, purple ribbon schools for being excellent locations for military families.
So if you're a military personnel looking for a great community where you're going to have neighbors that are most likely also going to be in the military and understand that way of life, Kingstowne is a great place for you. Like I said, there were 46 transactions in the month of October. The average sales price was $574,000. That was across all 3 property types, because in Kingstowne, you have condos, townhouses, and single family homes. Now, there are more townhouses than any of those properties, but you do have the flexibility or the options to choose or select those types of housing prices.
And when you say Kingstowne, I just want to be clear, you mean you use the entire 2-3-1-5 zip code?
Yes.
So, because that's one of the things we're actually going to talk about, and I guess I'll just say it now. So when he says Kingstowne in this video, what he means is the greater Kingstowne area. So the greater Kingstowne area includes the Kingstowne subdivision, which has nearly 6,000 homes. But then there are also a couple of other smaller subdivisions that surround Kingstowne. They're all in that same 2-3-1-5 zip code. And so when we say Kingstowne in this video, he really does, for these numbers, he's referring to the entire zip code.
And when you do move to this area, because we're assuming you're going to move to the Kingstowne area, you might as well be around us, right? We're lively people. When you do move to the Kingstowne area, you'll find out that people call this general area Kingstowne, right? Everybody calls the general area Kingstowne. It's
the best way to identify it. Most people don't identify where they live by their subdivision.
Yes.
Kingstowne is actually one of the largest subdivisions in Northern Virginia.
Second largest next to it.
Yes. And so it's easier to identify the area that way. Usually when people live in other smaller subdivisions, when they're outside of their neighborhood, they don't say the subdivision they live in.
That's true.
They rather address it by the area.
Those are big facts. That's what the kids say.
Oh goodness, you sound like one of our children.
That's true. So the average sales price, $574. That's actually up by $16,000 or 3% from last year in October. And then the days on market are up 7 days or a week to 18 days on market. So still relatively low days on market. Still less than a month, 2 weeks to get your home. So 50% of all the transactions happened in Kingstowne proper. So in Kingstowne, the HOA. And that makes sense. Kingstowne, the HOA is 5,500 homes. So it's a large swath of properties that we're going to talk about shortly. So as far as like the breakdown of transactions by property type, that was 8 single families, 36 townhomes, and 2 condos.
I'm actually most surprised by that. Only 2 condo sales in the entire month.
That's true. I don't know if I'm surprised by that, because in the past, we've seen a lot of condo owners try, they're usually selling around the spring season.
That's true.
Because usually they're doing a move up purchase. So the most townhouses that are available, or the most inventory available, is going to be in that spring season. So I'm not necessarily that surprised. And we only have 4 condominium complexes in the Kingstowne area.
Yeah.
So there's, Cardinal Place, the 3 in Kingstowne. So that's not necessarily that surprising, because we just don't have that many units. Now, this is going to surprise you. 1 out of every 3 transactions, so 1 out of the 46 transactions had a seller subsidy. A third of all transactions in Kingstowne had a seller subsidy. I'm not sure why we were 12% higher than than Fairfax County.
You know what though? I don't think I'm as surprised by that, just because we have seen the days on market creeping up a little bit. Properties that we saw flying off the market, like in one particular neighborhood, like going off the market very quickly, say in August and July, we saw, days on market build in that community.
Right. I mean, we just had a closing in Kingstowne. One of our listings sold last week. I think we were on the market for 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
But
I think it was 15 days, yeah.
Right. That one didn't have any seller subsidy, but the one we have closing next week does have seller subsidy. So I didn't really see too much of a correlation between whether or not the VA buyers were the ones that were the predominant users of the seller subsidy. So it'll be interesting to watch moving forward whether or not the seller subsidies increase, if the size of the seller subsidies increase, because it's been a very long time since we've seen seller subsidies.
At all.
Yeah.
At least consistently, like at, such a huge percentage.
It's true. So that's all the data for the Kingstowne area. I know that those numbers sometimes get a little boring. So are you surprised by the Kingstowne numbers? Let us know in the comments section. What did you think about the numbers overall?
I am actually surprised by the percentage of people using seller subsidies. I was also surprised, like I told you, about how few condos were sold. In the days on market, I felt personally from watching the market that it was actually going to be higher than that. I expected it to be more than 18 days. So I'm actually surprised by that. What I do know from watching the market is that homes that are priced well are still selling.
Right.
I think that the reason I maybe have noticed a few properties sitting on the market, especially when I'm running comps for our clients, is that some of those comps I think started off very high. And some sellers, because we're coming off this high market, I feel like some sellers have been hesitant, are slow to reduce their prices. And so for those properties, because you have to think, even that one that's closing next week, there's a property on the market on that same street that came on the market a month before we did.
That's true.
And that property is still on the market.
That's true. They should have hired a better agent.
So,
my name is Abraham Walker. This is Crystal Walker, and we make up the Ask a Walker real estate team. We focus on helping individuals like yourself either moving to the Northern Virginia area, moving around the Northern Virginia area, or selling your property. If you have any questions for us, the best way to get in touch with us is to click the link in the description and fill out the perfect home questionnaire. It's just a few questions that you'll answer, and then we'll schedule a time to meet online via Zoom. If you need immediate assistance, our contact information is going to be right here in the little ticker box, or we'll also put our phone number and email address here. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you on the next video. Peace.